Bow. What up, y'all? Want to welcome y'all back to another episode of the Trifecta Podcast. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, turn the notification button on, man. We got more basketball content. We got more topics, more debates. For today's episode, we get into the NBA Summer League. We got a few standouts of mine. It's about 4 in total. So we're going to talk about those standouts, how they did the Summer League, how they will fare in the actual NBA, and just kind of their trajectory overall. So once again, tune into your boy Rondo, the Trifecta Podcast, coming to you guys soon. All right, so my boy Reed Sheppard from the Houston Rockets. All right, I was very high on Reed Sheppard coming into the draft. If you guys see my previous video, it was actually one of my standouts going into the draft that I thought would have a really good NBA career. And he definitely showed it in the NBA Summer League. He averaged 20 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 50% shooting from the field, 27 from 3. He averaged 2.8 steals per game. So everything I thought going into the draft was pretty much correct and then some with Reed Sheppard. I mean, really good instincts on defense, plays the passing lanes really well, very handsy on the ball, really slaps down a lot and gets a lot of steals that way. And a very just like tough defender. I mean, he gets blown by sometimes just because of lack of foot speed, but he gets back into the play very well and he never gives up on plays. He's one of those type of players that a coach would love to have and to coach up. So Reed also showed a lot of great playmaking skills, all right? He's an advanced playmaker. It's something I initially did not think coming into the draft. I mean, at Kentucky, he played the 2 guard, came off a lot of off-ball screens, down screens, pretty much a lot of just shooter things that any, regular college shooter would do. But, man, he showed a really good playmaking reads. He read the low man really well, read the tag guy, made the skip pass, made the lob pass. I mean, made the passes to the guys in the short corner. He had a lot of lobs to Cam Whitmore. I mean, that connection over there already seems amazing for 2 young guys like that. So he really showed off a lot of his playmaking skills that I didn't see coming into the draft. We know he's a great shooter, even though he didn't shoot the ball very well, only 27% from 3. But he doesn't really shoot a lot of them, so he's very low volume on his 3-point shots. But usually he's very efficient, so I do expect that to go up. I mean, it's the first few games in the Summer League, being introduced to the NBA game, so I wouldn't worry about that too much. But he showed good creation off the bounce as well, so when he has the ball in his hands, coming off of ball screens, finding shots in the mid-range, finding his 3 balls. He got shifty a little bit. He's a very crafty player, something I didn't see at Kentucky as well. So really good showing for Reed Sheppard. He was able to get to his spots in the mid-range, a lot of turnarounds, a lot of one-dribble pull-ups. He plays at his own pace. He's not being sped up too many times. He's athletic enough to get the ball over these taller defenders at the rim. I mean, really good, solid prospect of Reed Sheppard. And players just like playing with him. I mean, I told you before, Cam Whitmore loved playing with him. He said it in an interview, I believe. You could tell other players kind of gravitate towards him. I mean, being one of the only white kids on an all-black team, it's kind of how it goes a lot of times. But, man, he's really good. So that's probably another reason why we mess with him as well. So really good Reed Sheppard showing. I think he was first team all NBA Summer League. I think that's the naming of it. So for a rookie, I think he was the only rookie on that. It might have been him and Khalil Weir. But overall, man, Reed Sheppard, he did his thing. I mean, I'm really happy for the Houston Rockets. They got their point guard of the future. And I think they're in good shape going forward. All right, so we got Ron Holland up next. Ron Holland is a guy that I was not expecting to talk about coming into this video, man. But he really showed improve in the Summer League, man. 18 points per game, 6.5 rebounds, 40% from the field, sub 20% from 3. So those numbers aren't great, but let me cook with this. I'm getting somewhere with this. All right, 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. If you looked at his stats in the G League, I think that was like 3-to-3. So really improved on that end as well, just being a playmaker. I don't expect him to be a lead ball handler or anything like that, but he showed he's not too much out of control. That was kind of his downfall coming into the NBA draft, that he was very out of control, shot a lot of shots, but was very, erratic in his overall play. And you do kind of see glimpses of that. But overall, I think he kind of toned it down to a manageable point where he's playable on the actual floor. Holland is a high-energy player, a slasher, a cutter. He had multiple plays, just kind of roaming that baseline and just burn cutting all the way to the hoop for a layup or a dunk. I mean, he's really good in those type of spots as well. In terms of his shot, that was kind of another question coming into the draft. Not a great shooter, but his form is decent. Like, he doesn't have bad form. It's not broken by any stretch of the imagination. So it's something he's just gonna have to keep, working at and just become more consistent with that. But his form looks pretty good. I think he made like maybe 1-3 a game, a little under 1-3 a game, like 0.8. Shot it below 20%. But, man, obviously that's one of his weaknesses. He will get better at that. But just as an overall, just energy player, energy wing, just attacking guys in transition. He's a blur in transition. Very quick, very athletic. I actually think him and Thompson, Asar Thompson, a rookie from last year, will work great at that 2 and 3 position, or just both being the 3 and then one backup for another. I think they pretty much serve the same purpose. I think Holland actually has a higher ceiling offensively, just because what he can do off the bounce. He's shown flashes of that. But, man, I like the pick for the Detroit Pistons. I mean, obviously he won't take 17 shots like he took in the summer league. He'll be relegated to maybe like 7 to 10. But I think that's right around his range for him anyway. He doesn't need to take 20 shots a game. He's not that type of player, in my opinion. But, man, as an energy guy, just versatile, athletic wing, I think he serves a good purpose for this Detroit Pistons team. Man. They already picked up a couple decent players that can score a little bit. Tobias Harris, Tim Hardaway Jr. can light it up. They still got Cade Cunningham. Adding a guy like Holland, I think it only boosts your win total, maybe by 2 or 3, which is marginal improvement, but it is improvement. I mean, we're talking about the Detroit Pistons here. But overall, man, I really like this pickup, man. He really surprised me a lot in the summer league. Showed a lot of flashes, a lot of high upside, and I hope the best for Mr. Ron Holland II. All right, so we got Dalton Connect. All right, best nickname in the draft, Connect 4. It's fire, absolutely fire. I mean, there's no better franchise to do it for than Los Angeles Lakers, playing with LeBron James, Anthony Davis. All right, I think he's going to fit in very well. And in my last video, I picked him as one of the standouts, one of my sleeper picks, because he fell all the way to, 17 to the Los Angeles Lakers. He was a projected lottery pick, I think more along the lines of top 10 even so. I mean, so him falling down that much is definitely a testament to what people thought of him going into the draft. And I'm not going to say he proved them wrong, but he did show his strong suits and his overall skill set, his NBA skill set at least. All right, so he averaged 21 points per game, 5 rebounds, shot 42% from the field, 39 from 3. So I think we all know what Dalton Connect is going to be in the NBA. Shooter. All right, he did not disappoint in that aspect. I think he made around 3 threes per game, shot at a 39% clip, really good. I mean, his first few games, not in the Vegas Summer League, but I think it was the Utah Jazz Summer League or Sacramento, one or the other. He didn't really shoot the 3 ball as well. I think he shot maybe 1 for 9, 2 for something in his first 2 games. So had a shaky start at first, but in Vegas, he definitely picked it up a little bit more. We've seen him coming off-ball screen. We see him even being a screener. Being in things like zoom actions where he's the guy that's getting the pass, that he's faking the handoff, and he's going, down the middle for a slam, down the middle to kick it to the guy in the corner, or him getting elevator screens and just kind of utilizing him in different positions as a shooter. He could be the decoy. He's going to just have a lot of gravitational pull because he can shoot. So I think he's going to be very versatile in that aspect, especially playing with the likes of Bron and some of the other players, Austin Reeves, AD, playing off of those guys. I think he'll be really good in that role, which is why I like the pick initially. Not that I think Dalton Connect is going to be an NBA All-Star or anything like that. He's going to be a solid pro, shoot the hell out of the basketball. I mean, sometimes that's all you need, especially for the Los Angeles Lakers who are trying to win a chip. He's one of the oldest guys in the draft. He's league ready. I mean, he showed it in the summer league. I mean, I think it was a great pick overall. And the thing that kind of makes Dalton Connect stand out amongst other shooters that come into the NBA is the fact that he can attack closeouts. He's also a movement shooter as well. But even off the movement, like if he's coming off a screen, he comes off a, down screen, double screen, anything like that, in a way screen, he could come off and not only shoot, but pump fake, 1-2 dribble, nice little pull up in the mid range, pump fake, 1-2 dribbles, find an open guy in the corner, or just go up and lay it up or dunk on you. Like, he has that ability. So that kind of what makes him stand out amongst other just typical shooters. But all in all, he's a shooter. Like, he's gonna be a shooter. I compared him to like Wally Zerbiak back in the day. I kind of see that mode for him. Probably a little more athletic. He's actually a really good athlete. Maybe not really good, but he's a solid athlete. Like, don't get it twisted. Like, he might yam on somebody. Like, don't sleep on him. But overall, man, I just think it was a great pickup, and it's a great value pick. All right, so next up, we got that boy, Bronny James, King James' son, the chosen one. Like, Bronny James, like, we have him right here. He's played in his first NBA game or NBA Summer League game, whatever you want to call it. But first NBA minutes, we see how he looked. Now let's dive deep into it. So 8.8 points per game, so 9 points per game, 35% from the field, 15% from three, 1 assist per game, 3 rebounds per game. All right, so this was all our first pretty much introduction to Bronny James. I don't really count the USC minutes. He came off that cardiac arrest, so a lot going on for him. Just coming back is already a miracle alone. He didn't really play that well. He kind of played out of position. We all know his stats wasn't good, but he had a chance to show and tell in the NBA Summer League. And my overall analysis is not good, not terrible. I think he kind of made up for it with the last 2 games. Played a lot better. We'll get into that. But, man, we kind of knew what Bronny was, man. He wasn't like the thing with a guy like Bronny James, him being LeBron James' son, he's going to get all the scrutiny of a top 5, a lottery pick, just because of his name. He was a 55th pick. So, like, what are we really expecting from him anyways? What 55th pick do you know is expected to average 15, 20 points per game in Summer League? Like, lottery picks don't even do that. So it's like he kind of already had unrealistic expectations coming into the NBA. But I think overall he handled it pretty well. He made up for it in the last 2 games, as I mentioned. But, man, I don't think he's really NBA ready at this moment. I think he has solid intangibles. For example, like he can fight over screens. I give him that. Like he fights over screens really well. He tries not to get screened. He's pretty big. He's like 6'2", 6'3", 210. So pretty solid. He does look small out there, but I mean, in a room full of giants, how big could you really look at 6'2", 6'3"? But he looks pretty solid, solidly built. Runs the floor really well. Plays the passing lanes pretty well. On-ball defense, he's pretty hefty and a pesky defender. So intangible-wise, I think he's solid in the intangible category. It's really everything else that's kind of holding him back from being an actual NBA player. Offensively, in particular, just too unsure of himself on the offensive end. You could kind of tell he's being very passive-aggressive. He doesn't know what he wants. He doesn't really know how to get to his spots yet. He doesn't know what's the great look for him, when to pass, when to shoot, when to be aggressive, when to take this guy in semi-transition. Just all the stuff that NBA players know how to do. And I think that's because of the lack of experience for him playing college and even in high school. Well, obviously he played high school, but he wasn't a quote-unquote man in high school. I mean, he had Amari Bailey on his team. He had other NBA prospects on his team. So not being the man in high school, really not being the man in college in terms of usage rate, scoring wise, just having, a lot of the, burden on your shoulders, just being a top option in high school and college, specifically college. So he has to get used to that and just be more aggressive. That's kind of shown through the TV if you're watching him that he hasn't had that role too much in his life. But, man, the good thing for Bronny is he is LeBron James' son, so he will get plenty of opportunities. He will play in a few NBA games this year. Trust me. I did see a FanDuel bet. It was for will Bronny score 20 points in any NBA game this season? Would you take that bet? I wouldn't personally. But if you want to put a penny down and see what you get, hey, go for it. But he obviously needs G League development. He doesn't have really a surefire NBA skill set. Intangibles is not a skill set necessarily. You're going to need more than that. A lot of these players that what people don't understand is a lot of these players that just turn into role players in the NBA, they weren't role players in high school. They weren't role players in college. They were stars of their team in those instances, but they had to play into a role in the NBA. It's the best of the best. You're going to have guys who are better scorers, better shooters, playmakers, so you might just have to be the defensive guy. Avery Bradley just didn't start out as a defensive guy. Yeah, he had defense, but at Texas, he was scoring. He was the second, third leading scorer on the team, averaging 12, 13 points per game. I mean, Tony Allen, I didn't see none of his college footage, but I heard he was a beast in college, scoring-wise on a scoring tip. So it's a lot of these guys, they have to just morph into these roles because they have guys better than them. In the last 2 games, as I mentioned, played a lot better. 25 points, shot 10 for 21 from the field, 3 for 8 from 3. So that's 12.5 points per game on, 45% shooting from the field, 3 for 8 from 3. I mean, my math's a little off, so, it's under 50%, but it's not terrible. So, man, he definitely showed improved the last 2 games, but he's a work in progress, man. So I say cut him some slack, give him some mercy, give him some grace. let him work through his kinks, and maybe one day he might be a useful NBA player. So that's my analysis for some of the standouts in the 2024 NBA Summer League for Vegas. I will have another video coming up with some of my other standouts. They didn't have great summer leagues, but they showed some promise still, and I still have a lot of faith in them that they'll have solid NBA careers. So stay on the lookout for that. Tune into your boy Rondo. Turn on the notification button on, man. The Trifecta Podcast. I'm out. See y'all soon.